Hi, Khalid. Can you hear me now? Let me know if you can hear me now. Perfect. Also, can you hear the background music? Is it loud enough? Yeah, long time. It's been a while. Hey, Razel. Yeah, I'm very sporadic when it comes to streaming YouTube. Again, I trade full time, so for me, there's no real streaming is not a job for me. So like, I just do it casually. Most of the streamers you see streaming, they kind of treat streaming as a job, and it's a good way for them to kind of bring people into their community and their courses and all of this kind of stuff. But for me, it's like I just jump on when I feel like jumping on and just doing some education and stuff. And if that brings people into the Discord organically, it does. But yeah, I'm very, very random when it comes to this. But I hope you're well. Hope everyone's doing good. Um, we could have a nice trade idea here. So I'm watching GU here. Now, a bit of a counter trend trade nonetheless. But if you look at GU, hey Mills, hope you're well, mate. All right, if we look at GU, so again, GU been selling off like most of the crosses against USD in a major sell-off. I think we're eventually going to be working our way down to this daily pullback zone. I think we'll probably come down to 1.18 at some point and test these daily lows. I think that will be the case, but before that, obviously we've had this aggressive selling pressure, and price is due for a retracement. Again on the M15, the last break we had here, we could see if we map out market structure, we were kind of creating this structure here, and then we just had this huge expansion to the downside. Now, are we due that retracement back up? Absolutely we are. When's it going to happen? We don't know. We just follow price action, and we just follow what the market kind of shows us. But where's the likelihood of that happening from? The likelihood of that happening from is from an area of unmitigated demand. So now if we come across to the left here, what do we have? We have this strong demand zone on the hourly chart that was unmitigated. You could see we had this consolidation and then the expansion, and then price ended up continuing from there. So this point could act as a nice area of reversal, and at least, if nothing, act as a point of pullback into area of supply before we then see the next move down. So there's two scenarios. We could see this back into this area of supply to fill out this imbalance and then continue pushing down, or if price breaks through this, then we could start looking at targeting the M15 pullback, which is the current high there. If we mark out the lowest point right now, and you could see, what do we have here? We have unmitigated supply, fair value gaps, imbalances, and we have lots of liquidity built up. But for now, without thinking too far ahead, we could see this. We could see this happen into this region here, which again, from these lows here, what is that? That's 116 plus pips. We do have a bank of interest. Yeah, exactly. So we need to be careful that we do have interest rate today. Now, what we need to be careful of is, I'm not really. I think the forecast is the forecast, and I think we'll see the 0.25% increase for the Bank of England today. But I think it's what's going to be more interesting is going to be what's expected moving forward. Now, people get caught up with the actual interest rate, which, if you look at what happened last week with the euro increased interest rates unsurprisingly. So the forecast was to stay flat, but they actually increased their interest rate. So you'd think from the offset that that's a strong bullish catalyst for the euro, but what happened? The euro sold off. Why? Because the forward-looking projections by the European Central Bank was quite dovish, and that's what the market is looking for. The market is already priced in what the forecast and the projection is. The only time you're really going to get a spike on the number is if the number's like astronomically different to what the expectation is. If that's not the case, then you're not really gonna see that happening. You won't really see that being the case. So I think the forecast is a forecast, and I don't really see the market jumping much on the forecast. I think it's more the forward-looking projection. Is it going to be quite bullish? I think it'll be a mixed bag, because inflation came in slightly below expected for the pound this week, but it's still significantly high comparable to all the other G7 countries. So the Bank of England has still got work to do. So it'll be interesting to see what they say versus the forecast itself. But technically, I think there's still room for pullbacks on the pound. Is it going to happen from here? You don't know, but it's a point of interest that we can watch for and we can look for, and we might see some potential pullback plays coming in play from this kind of region here. Now, I caught a really great move yesterday. This was part of the weekly watch list that we had. Euro AUD. This was a lovely trade. Now I took some partials here yesterday over here, then I closed 70% here, and then I closed full up over here. So it was a phenomenal 15R, probably my third best trade of the year from a risk to reward perspective, but it played out absolutely perfectly. Now I'll kind of go through this and cover off what my thought process was and why I kind of entered this trade. Now, high time frame, you could see, price has been bullish. Overall, we've been bullish, right? Now, the last kind of pullback we had on a swing structure was this, and then we had this huge expansion. Now, within this expansion, you could see the last leg we had was this low to that high, and then price was entering that retracement phase. Now, you could see this area of imbalance that price is coming in to fill. But what did we have coming down the way? So originally, when I was looking at a trade idea for this pair, I had this supply zone marked up here, and when price started to sell off here and broke this demand, I was waiting to see if we can get a pullback into here, then I could continue shorting. That never happened. So when price created a low here and did this, and then had a breaker structure here, I was no longer interested up in this area anymore, because we've now had a valid retracement. We then had a breaker structure to the downside. So at this point, I was looking at this and saying, right, okay, we're working our way down. We've had a breaker structure to the downside. We have this huge area of imbalance. After a break, what can we expect? We can expect a pullback for the next move to the downside. So again, trading counter trend trade on this, but the entry came on the lower time frame. So if we just go back on this and look at price, so price was like this. So again, it's about being patient and waiting for the right setup to occur. So I'm just going to play this out a little bit. So when price starts to do this, and this is where it's important that, people that are just pure supply and demand traders, what you don't want is you do not want to just be trading in the middle of a range. Now, based on how I read market structure, this is one swing leg. This is the pullback phase. All of this is just internal. None of these lows have any real significance for me. So like, if you're seeing an area of demand here, I wouldn't be expecting price to come here and then continue higher. No, because I'm trading in a range which doesn't align with a premium or discounted zone for me. So at this point in time, higher time frame, I'm looking at this, and the only trade opportunity for me to the top side is if price comes back down and gives me a pullback. If it doesn't give me a pullback, then I cannot get involved with this. I just have to sit on the benches, and I just have to wait and see what price ends up doing. But we were building liquidity to the top side. We had this area of demand, so we have liquidity below this internal swing low. This demand has not yet been mitigated, and this demand sits in the extreme of this swing pullback. And I could see we have that area of imbalance gone to the 4 hour. You could see this perfect area of imbalance. You could see this unmitigated supply zone. So the likelihood is price is gravitating towards working its way up there. So now when price starts to retrace, we come down to a lower time frame. So now again, there's no trade for me. I'm waiting for price to come into my point of interest. Now this is a perfect example where just supply and demand traders, people would see this and be like, okay, break a structure here. We've had a change of character. We've created demand. There's this, price is gonna head to the top side now, and I'm gonna start trading this back up. No, all this is internal. You had this big push. This is just internal to this swing leg from up here. This has no bearing or significance in anything. All this is inducement. This is inducing people into getting involved in the market when you shouldn't be. Look what happens. Now you get a reaction. How many people might be entering and thinking, great profits, and then what does price end up doing? Boom, stopping you out. So you got to be careful with these things in how you see things and how you look to trade it. So at this point, I'm still sitting there waiting. So now price is coming into my point of interest. So we can start to go down onto our lower time frame. So at this point, there's nothing yet for me. Now you could see at this point we had this big expansion up over here, but it didn't break any structure, because if you go onto the 15, all it did was we had this area of supply here. Price reacted to that and it sold off. So I'm well aware of that. But we're now in that point of interest, right? So we come into the 50% of the zone that I'm looking at. Boom. So we have news, right? This is the FOMC news. So now what have we done? From that point of interest, we shift momentum. We break above the high. We supply fails. We get strong momentum coming in. And now I'm interested, right? Now I'm interested in catching this trade. So now we have the low point here to the high point. Now, this is now my point of interest to get involved over here. So now you can see price comes in. We start rejecting, and there's my entry. And then after that, you can see away price goes. So again, it's about being patient. Now, like I said, this was a swing pullback for me. So for me, this was the high created. Here is our discounted zone in that demand. And then the next push to the top side. Now, why did I take it to this extreme? Because price doesn't always have to go there, and I don't need to be greedy. I could clearly see there's that imbalance. That's a significant enough trade in itself for me. So why do I need to be sitting there trying to catch and be greedy? Well, I don't need to. That is significant in itself, 153 pips. But executing based on how I see price action and how I see the markets. And it's important that that's what you always stick to. You have a set of rules that allows you to determine how you get involved. How many people would have been looking at, say, like a demand zone here, and price reacted to this and then continued selling off. All of these areas are areas of inducement, and that's where the lower time frame with the higher time frame comes into real significant value. When you couple those things together, you have a much higher probability of being successful. So this was a great trade, phenomenal trade. Now, longer term, Do I think price is going to continue down? Yeah, I'll look to see what price does when it comes to this supply, or maybe further up here, and then because I could still clearly see that there's an area of imbalance that we have below, so we could see price perfectly coming down into there, but that will be for next week. If you guys have any pairs, feel free to drop them in the charts as well. I'll happily take a look. So Euro USD. So for me, Euro USD. You know, we had the daily swing here. On the daily, we've broken the low here. If we look at this on a 4-hour time frame, you could see I've got the line perfectly at that low. Price is kind of like rejecting in that region. Now overall, do I think we're still bearish? Yes, we are. Are we due for a pullback? Yes we are. Now you could perfectly see yesterday price came into this area of supply, rejected perfectly at that 50%, and boom, we created a new low. Now same thing like GU. What can we probably see today? You know, we're probably due a pullback into this region. At this point, you know, the likelihood is price continues lower. When do we start to really look for price pulling back up into like this M15 structural pullback, like into this kind of area, back up into here? Well, we need to break a lower high first and create a new high, period. There's nothing else to do until some of those things don't happen, and that's the thing where people don't realize about trading. You know, you got to be patient and you got to wait for certain setups to happen. If you're just going to be eagerly trying to get involved in every move in the market, then you'll never be a successful trader. What else do we have? We have AU. So AU again, AU sold off from that area of supply. Let's just get rid of these here. So we still have our, you know, the 15-minute is still bearish. Alright guys, I think I'm gonna shoot off. Not many people online, so we'll probably do this another day. Take it easy and I'll catch up with you guys soon.